Welcome to Gay Fairfax, the National Capital Area's only weekly entertainment magazine sharing news, views, and pride. I'm Barry Forbes.
And I'm Michelle Michaels. Each week we'll feature events and personalities of interest to gay men and women in Northern Virginia.
On this edition of Gay Fairfax, we'll attend an empowerment workshop, take our cameras to a picnic in the park, and interview some of the friends of Food and Friends.
But first, here's this week's gay trivia question with Peg McCraw.
Recently, I recounted a number of supposed causes of homosexuality. Now, how about the cures? Can you name 5 alleged cures for being gay? Stay tuned for the answer at the end of the show.
Thank you, Peg. Are you living a lie? Afraid to be truthful to your family and friends? Well, many gay people are. Rob Eichberg's The Experience is a workshop that teaches empowerment, coming out, and living truthfully. Gay Fairfax reporter Karen Brown takes our cameras to experience the experience.
What if everyone in the world agreed it was okay to be gay? Gays would express themselves freely, and displays of pride like this would occur every day. This is the vision of clinical psychologist Rob Eichberg, co-founder of a gay-oriented workshop, The Experienced, designed to help gays live truthfully and empower themselves.
First of all, the fundamental way of functioning powerfully in life is to be willing to tell the truth. So when you have something that you have to withhold, and for gay men and lesbians, if that's our sexuality, the energy that it takes to withhold that tends to drain us, gets in the way between ourselves and other people, and forms a barrier in our lives.
Stephen Brown of Alexandria, supervisor for a trade association, signed up for the workshop to help him deal with issues related to self-image. Before the workshop, we talked with him about coming out.
My father was the first to know, and it had come out in a heated argument between the two of us. It was a pretty traumatic experience. I had to leave the house, and I went and stayed with a friend for a couple weeks. I pretty much got what I expected from him. There was some anger and a lot of disgust on his part. He had said as much as he had figured that that's what was going on with me, and he pretty much reinforced the negative feelings I had about myself and myself being gay.
Along with Stephen, we followed Michelle Michaels, an Alexandria real estate broker, through the experience. Michelle might look familiar to many Gay Fairfax viewers, as she is a co-host for the show.
And I'm Michelle Michaels. Each week we'll feature events and personalities of interest to gay men and women in Northern Virginia.
Obviously, Michelle is out, and she is proud of who she is, although coming out was not always easy.
It was such a relief because things didn't fit before. Relationships didn't fit. Feelings didn't fit. Just like I was forcing myself to be something I wasn't. And then I fell in love with a woman. And I was like, ah, this is great. This is wonderful. Why didn't I know about this before? And I felt totally liberated. Then the boom hit me when my mother stopped talking to me. But she came around. It took a year or two.
Although many focus on coming out at the workshop, Rob stresses that the experience deals with much more than this issue.
The experience is not about coming out. The experience is about functioning powerfully. But it's not possible to function powerfully when you're not willing to tell the truth. The fundamental aspect of being powerful in your life is to trust yourself enough to know that you can deal with any consequences of telling the truth, and then to be willing to tell the truth. So in the workshop, we build on that principle. So it's not about coming out as gay or lesbian. It is about telling the truth.
As their attitudes toward their gayness are very different, Stephen and Michelle had very different reasons for going to the experience.
I guess the main thing that I want to get out of the workshop is to feel more comfortable with my sexuality, take pride in my sexuality and being gay, and feel comfortable with that in my relationships and my peers.
I'm not, what I'd like to get out of the experience is not dealing with my gayness, because I think I've done that. I see it to get a little bit more actualized, a little bit more empowered, a little bit more focused on goals and how to make them happen. I don't know, but I get this feeling that I'll learn a way to make things happen for myself. A lot of things are happening for myself now, but I don't know, it's just a fine-tuning for me. I'm also intrigued by the fact that a lot of people in leadership roles in the gay culture have gone through this, and I want to have what they have.
Michelle and Stephen were 2 of 40 attendees who recently went through the workshop in Washington, D.C., undergoing a series of consciousness-raising exercises. Anxious and eager, neither knew what to expect.
I do have some anxieties about the workshop. Probably the most prominent ones being opening up to other people, to strangers in particular. I don't really have a problem with people I'm close to sharing my feelings and emotions. It's hard to predict how I'll react in a group of people that I'm unfamiliar with.
I'm very excited about the people I'll meet and what we'll do, and I trust it's going to be well handled, and I'll get a lot out of it.
According to Rob, people come with all sorts of anxieties, or they have no reservations at all. Either way is okay.
So there's no one response that people have. The experience provides tools for people. We work with a scale of consciousness, and we provide a lot of tools for people to discover how to be more effective in their lives. And so people really come in at whatever stage of their own process they come in, and they take from the workshop those things that are most valuable to them in taking their own next step. And there's no one way to be and no one response to it.
From the start of the workshop, both Stephen and Michelle were struck by its unique format.
Well, there was a lot going on that I didn't expect. It was very quiet and dark. There was this music playing. We were not supposed to talk. It seemed very solemn, like we were at a wake. It was very structured. I expected it more like a seminar, and not a service.
I did think it was a little hokey walking in, though. I mean, you walk to the door, they give you a number, and they insisted you not talk. You were not allowed to speak, and the room was very dimly lit, and you were assigned seats next to people you had never met before, and I guess I was a little skeptical as well. I thought this is one of those things that you see and you just say, oh, please, you know, but that was probably my first impression.
Both Stephen and Michelle found the structure and many of the exercises demanding, mentally and physically, and sometimes uncomfortable.
What was really hard was going a long time without a break, and staying up late and getting up very early. I mean, it was a very exhausting schedule.
Oh, everything made me uncomfortable about it. I think I was probably uncomfortable 95% of the time. I never felt totally relaxed in the atmosphere.
Overall, I saw why it was necessary and saw what it achieved. I resisted it from time to time and hated it at other times.
There was a lot of exercises that I really didn't want to do. I did not want to participate in them. And somehow I really found it within myself to do it, and I was very surprised. I thought I'd be out the door, and I stayed.
Saturday night, I think it was, I was extremely tired. I was very hungry. And I wanted for it to be done, and it wasn't done. And we had a lot more to do, and we were doing some exercises that didn't seem to make sense to me, and some of the rules of the exercises where it seemed very unacceptable to me. And it turned out the structure of the exercises made a lot of sense, and their point was made because of the way it was set up. Being tired and hungry, no matter where I am, it's going to be an uncomfortable situation.
We had to do a lot of exercises that involved trusting the other people in the group in our smaller groups and in the large groups, the entire room. And that was very, very scary for me. You really had no choice but to trust these people that you were with. And I found that once you start doing it, it becomes easier.
Although Stephen and Michelle had their doubts about the workshop, they stayed with it. For Michelle, the greatest reward was the bond she formed with fellow attendees.
The way we related to each other was extremely meaningful. There wasn't a lot of chit-chat. And we got to know each other extremely intimately in a very short period of time. And that intimacy, I think, is long-lasting. There are people I still see from the experience. There are people I still see from the experience, and they're very close friends of mine. I mean, they're intimate confidants. They know everything about me. I know everything about them, and it's very easy relationship. It's very special, too.
Stephen echoed Michelle's feelings about the friendships formed at the experience. He also made friends with himself.
As the workshop progressed and it came to an end, I realized a lot about myself, a lot that I was capable of, that I really wasn't aware I was capable of before the workshop. There were a lot of emotions that were brought up, a lot of feelings that I really, if I'd had them at one time, they had long since been gone. I didn't remember them, you know, or I had suppressed them for a very long time. And one of those was love, and being able to love myself, which is really the key to loving others.
Even among the seminar's most hardline skeptics, the dominant feeling after the workshop was elation, as with Ted, who resisted the process from the start.
I mean, I was angry at feeling that I was duped, and this thing was providing me with nothing, and it was living up to my lowest expectations. And after a lunch break, and well, actually during a lunch break, I started to reflect on certain things that were happening in my mind, questions that I was finally asking myself. And I had a real cathartic realization that this course, not a course, this seminar is exactly what it's supposed to be. I just haven't been listening carefully enough. And I had a tidal change of opinion about it.
Chris, a straight woman who attended at the urging of some gay friends, believes she got what she came for at the workshop.
I expected it to be a very loving and supportive atmosphere. I expected a safe place to work on whatever issues that I brought into it, and I had filled out my goal sheet previously. Having completed it now, my expectations were nowhere near what I got out of it. I feel so much more at peace with myself. I allowed myself to get a lot more out of the experience than I ever imagined I could.
Wayne, who attended the workshop to help him recover from the loss of his lover to AIDS, felt he made some progress.
I acknowledged his death. I acknowledged that what is in the past is in the past, and I cannot bring it towards the future. And that my life is going to go on, and realizing that there's a lot more to come in my life. It was right there in front of me. I mean, that was an acknowledgement.
Donna, a straight woman who attended the seminar a few years ago and now helps out as a coordinator, says her favorite part of the workshop is its ability to bring diverse people together.
I mean, sit in a room of 30 to 40, however many people, and see all these people that are different than you, and walk in and think, I don't know if I can identify with any of these people, and realize that after one weekend that yes, you can. That we're all basically more similar than different.
Mark, another workshop coordinator or team member, says it took a while to absorb all the things he learned at the experience. He stays involved to keep the positive effects flowing.
The tools that I got out of the workshop didn't click for me until months and months after the workshop. And then being on the team this weekend and helping to make that happen, and being in the room while it's happening, I was able to be exposed to and learn all that stuff again. And now I'm really seeing some great changes in my life.
Jim, a recovering alcoholic, says his only regret is that he didn't take the experience sooner. He feels he learned a few lessons everyone could use.
We talked about how important making agreements are and relating to other people, and overall how important communicating with other people is. And I think if more people communicated and made agreements that they could stick to, then things, not only in the gay community, but in the world in general, would be a lot better.
So, back to Michelle and Stephen. What lessons did they take away from the experience?
Right after the experience, I was very, very high. I was just really feeling elated about the whole thing, and going back to work that week was just great. I had such a positive attitude about everything. And I was getting to the point where I didn't want to become obnoxious talking about it so much.
I felt really high on a cloud, elated, energized, focused.
I came down pretty quick afterwards. I was up there for a while and came straight down. And I think I'm starting to regain some of that momentum again and some of that energy. It's one of those things you just can't expect it to continue without some effort.
What I was struck by was how, even though we were all very different, came from different walks of life, had different needs and perceptions of the world, we all were really after the same thing, though, and that was being accepted for who we are and feeling connected to each other.
If everyone went to the experience, the world would be a much better place to live in. It all comes down to being able to love yourself enough to love others, and it's really as simple as that.
Gay Fairfax needs you. Energetic, dedicated people willing to work hard and have fun, too. Use your creative talents to produce segments, edit video, or interview guests on camera.
You can learn a brand new skill, like becoming a camera operator or a field producer or a scriptwriter. You can make a difference. Join the Gay Fairfax team today.
Write to us at Gay Fairfax, care of FLGCA, Post Office Box 2322, Springfield, Virginia 22152, or call us at 703-451-9528.
Food and Friends is a Washington, D.C. based organization which serves all the suburbs as well. The group offers a service much like Meals on Wheels, but for anyone living with AIDS. Our own Dave Hughes caught up with Carla and Terry for Food and Friends.
We're very happy to have with us today two people from Food and Friends. On my immediate right is Carla Gorell, who is the Executive Director of Food and Friends, and to her right is Terry Mackey, who is on the Advisory Council. Carla, why don't we start by having you tell us a little bit about the organization, how it was formed, why it was formed, that sort of thing.
Well, Food and Friends provides nutritious meals for people with AIDS who are homebound and have no other source of adequate food for themselves, either because of their illness or they're financially impoverished. And in 1989, no such service existed. It was extremely difficult and impossible for people with AIDS to receive Meals on Wheels, and a group of leaders at Westminster Presbyterian Church had heard of an organization in New York, wanted to provide this service in Washington, D.C., and we started it after that model. We began by asking restaurants to donate meals while we raised money to open the kitchen for about 9 months. The kitchen opened in May of '89. Actually, we must have started in '88, providing restaurant meals. And so the kitchen has been operational now for 2 years. And it started with one person delivering meals to one person with AIDS, and now we have a core of 200 volunteers, and last week we sent out 85 meals a day. So it's grown gradually over the years.
And that's really wonderful. And are the people that you serve just in the district or across the entire metropolitan area?
No, we're metro area wide now, seeking to expand even further, but we serve the entire District of Columbia, sections of Maryland and Northern Virginia. We do serve Arlington and Alexandria, Silver Spring, Bethesda, Chevy Chase. Some of the Ryan White Emergency Care Act federal money will help provide our service for people further away from the district this summer. So that's in the plan. We serve men, women, and children who are homebound, which means physically confined to their home because of their illness. Sometimes we respond to requests for emergency food. Someone's being released from the hospital and just need us for a short period of time. We also provide nutritional support over long periods of time for people who are in and out of the hospital and who are too weak or because of other symptoms with AIDS have no way to help themselves that way. We've served 22,000 meals in the time that we've existed. I think the total number of people, that men, women, and children, that we've served is about close to 400 now. So people, I guess, come from different sources, maybe in 3 equal parts. Hospital discharge social workers refer to us, AIDS service organizations and Whitman Walker Clinic, and then self-referrals, which we also include in that category, friends or caregivers of people with AIDS who need our help. It's a great diversity of people that we serve. It does reflect the diversity of people living with AIDS in our metro area. And as you may know, Washington is 5th nationally in the number of AIDS cases. So the need for the service is great.
Well, fortunately, you did mention that you've had a great many volunteers that have joined the program in this couple years. Terry, how does one go about volunteering, and how do you get your volunteers?
Well, there's many different aspects to volunteering. We have people that come into the kitchen in the mornings on their way to work. They help cook. They may just be slicing up onions or green peppers or help cook in the morning.
That's a fun group. The fellowship and the fun that happens in the kitchen is really quite satisfying for those volunteers.
Every day that you walk in and you see volunteers there, it helps. You get an initiative yourself to keep going, no matter how tired you get or how many things are coming up to raise more money for Food and Friends, or just volunteering, or just calling up that day and saying, you know, I have some extra time. Do you need anything? We always need delivery people. We have 15 major routes now that we take, and drop-off centers in the suburbs and the outer lying areas of the District of Columbia. And if you don't live in the immediate area of our kitchen, you can always make it to one of those drop-off centers in Maryland, Virginia, and D.C., where you can just go to pick up the meals and be able to deliver in your own neighborhood. Or on your lunchtime at work, if you really are a dedicated volunteer. We have a lot of people that come on their lunch break and deliver. And it's not an everyday Monday through Friday. You don't have to feel like you have to do it every day. You know, once a week or twice a month is just as helpful as every day, because we need that many volunteers with 86 meals that we're cooking a day. And unfortunately, the way the disease is working is that those meals are not going to go down. They're going to go up, and we're going to need more volunteers.
What's a typical day at Food and Friends like?
Well, the kitchen opens about 6:30 in the morning. Most of the kitchen volunteers, however, don't have to come in until about 8. They cook all morning. The meals are ready about 10:30. We pack them into containers, thermal containers, to keep the hot hot and the cold cold. And then about any time after 10:30, 11 o'clock, the boxes are going to drop-off centers, but about half the meals are picked up at our kitchen, so volunteers come into the kitchen on their delivery routes.
Certainly there's money involved as well. I mean, simply the cost of the food and the cost of the containers and so forth. Where does the money come from?
Well, it's all community supported. Up until this point, we've received no government funding to date. We keep trying, and we will accomplish that. It takes a long time. Foundation grants, the corporate community, mostly individual donors who just send $25 checks. We get a lot of contributions in memory of friends who have died of AIDS, and we do our special events. And so it's a great diversity of fundraising. We're going to be starting to get into direct mail in the future.
Do you have a phone number so that people can call to volunteer, donate money, or if they need the services or whatever?
Yes, it's in D.C., 202-488-8278.
Great. Well, I want to thank you very much for appearing on Gay Fairfax and for telling us all about Food and Friends.
Thanks for having us.
Did you get the answer to this week's gay trivia question? Here's Peg with the answer.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to be cured. At any rate, supposedly the following methods will do the trick. Making little girls wear dresses, diet therapy, hormone therapy, analysis, and confining children to the company of their own sex. Oh, yeah?
Well, that wraps up this edition of Gay Fairfax. But don't forget, you can tune us in next week at this same time. For Gay Fairfax, I'm Barry Forbes.
And I'm Michelle Michaels. Thank you for joining us. And remember to keep the pride alive.